Whakalopala Yatu and a very good evening. These are our top stories for you for tonight. A lady in her 30s was medevaced early this morning. BCN News understands the lady fell very ill yesterday evening, which required special urgent attention in New Zealand. BCN News wishes her a speedy recovery. Premier Honourable Dalton Tangilangi last week announced commencement of the one-way free quarantine travel from Niue to New Zealand.
Tuesday saw the first lot of travellers take advantage of the one-way quarantine-free travel to New Zealand. Niueans converged in the airport to farewell family and friends who were leaving on the first free quarantine flight to New Zealand. Premier Dalton Tangilangi said the one-way quarantine-free travel will enable Niueans to receive essential healthcare, access education and economic opportunities, and reconnect with their families in New Zealand.
Niue is one of the few countries in the world that remains completely free of the COVID-19, and we pride ourselves on protecting our people through maintaining our borders and health system. Niue and New Zealand signed an arrangement for quarantine-free travel in December 2020, and officials have been working steadily and with an abundance of caution as managing our borders and preventing the spread of COVID-19 and protecting our communities remain the priority.
He adds Niue will maintain its current border settings, which requires travellers to have government approval to enter the country and quarantine or self-isolate for 14 days on arrival.
Officials of both governments are still working towards two-way quarantine-free travel. But I'm happy to say to this House Honourable Speaker, given the requirements asked of us from New Zealand, I think we have covered most of those that will see us into the two-way quarantine-free travel as well.
Niue is the second island country to have free one-way quarantine flight after Cook Islands successfully and safely launched the one-way quarantine free flights from Rarotonga earlier in the year.
48 passengers were on the first quarantine-free travel flight from Niue to Auckland. Here's Esther Pavihi with more on that story.
A total of 48 passengers, including 5 children, were on flight NZ937 from Niue to Auckland. The first quarantine-free flight from Niue to New Zealand was delayed by some engineering issues, departing Niue at about 5:30 p.m. and arriving into Auckland at 8:50 p.m. or 10 minutes to 9. Passengers were given packages of masks and gloves at the departure lounge in Niue, and we were expected to wear those masks throughout the 3.5-hour flight. Passengers on the flight include several grandparents travelling to meet with their families, some who visited Niue before the borders closed and were unable to return until the quarantine-free flight. Many of the passengers were travelling for medical purposes, including 2 members of Parliament, Olaf Jacobson and Richard Hipa. The flight landed safely into Auckland Airport, where we were ushered efficiently through the safe lane at the terminal, through customs and the luggage carousel. Just before 9:30, my daughter and I walked out of the arrival gates. There was a small group of less than or fewer than 20 people waiting for their families and friends to come through the arrival doors. There was no lingering to chat, just quick goodbyes and wishing each other well with medical appointments. And just like that, the much anticipated first ever quarantine-free flight from Niue to Auckland ended without much fuss. This is Esther Pavihi for BCN News.
With the rollout of the vaccine program in New Zealand, the Premier Honourable Dalton Tangilangi hopes the vaccine will roll out and take place in Niue as early as next month.
New Zealand is currently rolling out its vaccine program, and our officials are working closely with the Ministry of Health on the vaccine rollout program for Niue. I reiterate that these are not decisions that are rushed. We hope that the vaccine rollout will take place, and my wish and what I'm fighting for, it's next month, April.
The Premier also thanked the frontline workers and government officials for their hard work behind the scenes, paving way to the free quarantine travel and the vaccine rollout that will take place soon.
I thank our government officials, the Office of the Secretary of Government, and the COVID-19 committee, Health, Police, External, and Niue Disaster Management Office, and Immigration, for their hard work and the many months spent on the requirements and process to ensure that Niue is ready for a one-way QFT. As always mentioned to our officials that we got to be smart and that we'll always have to be one step ahead. And here we are, we're working on the vaccines.
The Department of Education will receive a boost of $170,000 from the government of Japan. The investment is for the upgrade and procurement for equipment for the Niue High School Health Clinic.
This assistance will improve the quality of health services not only for the students and teachers of Niue High School and Niue Primary School, but to all residents and visitors to Niue. The Niue High School Clinic is expected to play an indispensable position as a community health core in the future due to the Niuefo Hospital being the solely medical facility on the island. The grant, which is below the Japan's grant assistance for grassroots human and security projects, was signed by the Ambassador Ito Koichi on Friday last week. The grant will provide medical equipment, clinical materials, and fixtures for the clinic. This project takes the total number of GGP projects in Niue to 4. Other purposes of this project, along with assisting to obtain 100% immunization charge for the school vaccination program and to manipulate and control therapy of rheumatic sicknesses and cardiac elements via urgently wished clinical equipment. In a press release, Honorable Sauni Tongatuli said, through these integrated health services that the clinic will provide, our students will be able to receive timely access to health care. We express gratitude to the government of Japan for the assistance to Niue.
For the first time ever, the Niue Police have sworn in 2 police officers of non-Niuean ethnicity.
And truly declare that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Constable in Niue, with fairness, integrity, diligence, and impartiality, upholding fundamental...
Family and friends backed the Niue Disaster Management Office building today to witness 3 officers taking the oaths this morning. Among them were 2 non-Niuean citizens of Fijian and Samoan ethnicity. This is the first time in the history of the Niue Police Force to have non-Niuean citizens as officers of the law. The Chief of Police, Timothy Wilson, hoped with the different ethnic group, the officers will be able to communicate and have the cultural relevance with that community.
As far as I know, other than chiefs and that have come from other places, this is the first group I know of where we brought people that were non-Niueans ethnically and non-Niuean citizens to come in and be with the police officers. I would hope that we would, as the police, be able to employ more people that are more representative of the community that lives here. We have Simi, who is hired. There's a large Fijian community here in Niue, so it's great to see a Fijian here that can communicate and have the cultural relevance with that community. The same is true. We have some officers that have Tongan heritage, and we have some Samoan heritage, so it's great to be able to have our police force reflect the number of the type of community we have. So more minority groups that we have, it'd be also good to have officers from representing those communities as well.
The Premier Honourable Dalton Tangelangi in his speech stressed the importance of wearing the blue uniform and the code of conduct that a police officer should adhere to.
And like all your colleagues and all the others before you, and of course, your people here, not only your family, but you are responsible to the whole of Niue, all the people in this island. You are be keeping us safe, and that's your role. If anything, that please don't misuse your position or as a police officer. Your role is to take care of all of us, and our role, of course, is to return that favour by taking care of you as well.
We spoke to the new officers and asked how they felt about this special occasion.
It feels good. It's a proud moment for me and my family, and yeah, it's a privilege to be sworn in today.
It's something different for me. This is something that will definitely be one of the highlights in my life.
It's been a overwhelming experience for me and my family. Just want to thank the government of Niue, especially the PSC, who gave me this opportunity to be in Niue, especially for my family.
The Ekalesia Niue was able to raise $35,233.10 over the weekend during the Aho May held at the Millennium Hall Saturday last week.
Close to 100 Niueans gathered at the Millennium Hall to celebrate Aho May with prayer and singing from the various Ekalesia churches around the island. The president of the Ekalesia Niue, Reverend Luka Tawevihi, said he was very grateful to the congregation for coming together and giving willingly. Every year, the Ekalesia Church hosts the Aho May, where the congregations from villages around the island come together and sing, from which each church gives a donation to the Ekalesia Niue. This year, the Ekalesia Niue was able to raise a significant amount of money despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic.
That ends our news for this evening. Do have a great night. See you next time. Nona fua, moi monuina.